I think we need to be very careful about xenophobia. We need to understand that South Africa does not have a xenophobia problem. We have an Afrophobia problem. We have millions of Germans in the Western Cape. We have a lot of foreigners in this country, whether legally or illegally, who are not from Africa. They are not being discriminated against. They are not being chased out. This is an Afrophobia, and that needs to be addressed.
I remember my first time in South Africa. I was such a little boy, tiny little boy that is full of joy, full of love, and full of inspiration. I went to school and I made a decision that I am going to build something meaningful, something very powerful. I wanted to do something strong, and I wanted to do something that can not just for me, but also giving back to the community. I remember starting my first business. It was in Johannesburg. It was really, really harsh. And I went through such hard time getting the business off the ground. And through try and error, struggling, and some days, it's okay, and some days we barely even make money to survive the day. But we survived at the end. And then after some time, I knew it was time to take a bigger step. I decided to move to Cape Town. And when moving to Cape Town, I remember friends saying, hey, don't go to Cape Town. It's full of white. They're not going to support your business. And it's going to be harder for you. And the coloreds in Cape Town don't even like the black people. And the white also will not give you a chance at all. But I did move there anyway. And upon my arrival, out of fear that was putting in my head, I decided to go and work for a fashion house, just to understand how Cape Town operate and how the people's mindset. After 1 year working, I just realized, no, this is actually a place for me. So I opened up my first studio. I remember the first studio was on Short Market Street. So it was Short Market and Long Street, between Long Street and Short Market. The first few months, it was one of the hardest to get this business off the ground. For one reason, that you South Africans refuse to work for me. I even advertise on radio and the newspapers, all right? And I send the word of message to all the different platforms that we are looking for people. We are even willing to take those who have no experience, who don't even have a fashion background, to come. We will train them and also provide them with job at the same time. They still refuse simply because I'm a black man. At the end, who were willing to work for me? It was the white South African. It was the colored, the Cape Malays are the one supported my business. They worked for me from the beginning all the way until we end up getting other sources also coming from Malawi. Zimbabweans were hard workers. I've worked with them. And every time we get South African black person to come and work, only lasted for a week, and they don't show up the next, the following week. That's it. I remember one time I had an interview with one South African black guy, right, that just finished, the fashion school. He sent out his portfolio that no fashion houses that wanted to take him. So we heard of him, and then we contacted him. And then he came for an interview, and then we decided, okay, we will take you. So you can come the following day and start. And guess what? The following day he just showed up late. And guess what? Drunk. He showed up on his first day at work, drunk. I said to him, no, you can't work. I'm sorry, man. So that's when I decided, look, this is it. We have to then cut this. It's not working. They don't want to work. So let's focus on those who are willing to work and give the service. Even though we have also the South African black people that actually supported the business as well. So I cannot say that all South Africans are bad. Yes, some of them don't like to work. And yes, some of them don't want to see black people living a good life. Okay? And whatever life that I managed to build for myself and my people in South Africa is because we've worked for it. We've worked so hard to be where we are. Okay? And I remember every time we do a fashion show, or they see me outside in clubbing, having a good time, or driving a beautiful car, luxury cars, and surrounded by all these good people around me, I remember one time one guy said, hey, he's a drug dealer. This guy is into drugs. That's why he's got so much money. They have no clue who I was and what I was doing. So only few that actually knows me were close and nice to me. Yes, they are really nice ones, and there are some also that have a bad heart, unfortunately. So with all this going on in South Africa, I will say that the South Africans need to be extremely careful. Julius Malema actually, did some very interesting, speech. He gave, them the speech when it was a few days ago in regard to all this violence that's taking place, that they need to be careful, because what they're putting out there can easily come back to them. All right. And I just don't understand why the leaders also are not really doing anything to help those in need, those who are in trouble, those who are actually causing the trouble, to actually, to ease them down somewhere. Because there's a reason that they're doing it. I believe that, the ones that go around harming, people's businesses because they are in pain, they're going through this rough time and they are bothered by something that's killing them inside. So the anger is showing up in the complete wrong places where they shouldn't be going and hurt. That's where they're heading. The people that are really willing to work in South Africa, not given the opportunity to work. And those who don't need the job are the one that's being given the opportunity, sadly. Because I remember after, my whole, graduation, I needed to start my business. There was nobody can give me any handout. I have to work my damn neck from the scratch. I need to work extremely hard to be able to save every penny and every cent. I remember one time I was living in Northcliffe, and then I have to living with the family, and this family also have like a little studio inside the house, and then they offered me like a backyard to stay, but then in return I'm gonna have to do some work for them for free. So I have two jobs. I have to go to work, and then after work I have to come back again also and work for them at night just to pay for my rent. But it wasn't an issue because I enjoy what I do and I love working hard. So for that reason, after starting my first business, I knew that there is no way that I can mess up, because I don't want to mess it up so that I can go back to that, that hard labor that I started, just for me to get to be able to get to where I was then. So I've worked really hard. I remember even my first the first time to start my business, I offered some services to other fashion designers as well, so they can bring in some work that I can do, like some crazy stuff, and of course, not that they don't even pay much, but I will work all night to get that out of the way, so that I could get paid from that, and then go out also, and then buy fabrics, buy samples, and then bring it home, bring it to my studio, create something, and then display. I remember the first display I had on my studio. It was such a relief when people start passing by. I get all these compliments from ladies, and ladies pulling their husbands, come and see this studio. It's really nice. It was a relief, but a labor of joy, the work that we have to put in. So South Africans, please stop doing what you're doing to black people. The black people don't deserve it. Black people, especially the foreign, black people, are just generally good people, hard workers. Like, I never choose to be in South Africa, but for some reason I end up in South Africa, and I know that the only way for me to survive is through hard work, and I really put in the work. And unfortunately, after some time, when the first violence, starting to happen in South Africa, the xenophobia, which was, I remember in 2000, right? Just before, was it before the World Cup or after World Cup? No, it was before or after. I'm not sure, because it's been a while. There was this attack again towards the black people. Then I remember with me and a friend of mine, also from Nigeria, he's into movies, so he's acting, he's got this movie production. So some of the actress, or the actors, arrived in the country. So I decided to come with him. We went to the airport and picked them up. On our way back from the airport, there was this protest, against the black people, right outside, about a few yards away from the airport. And that was crazy. I remember then my friends got really scared. And this is somebody who is extremely big, like really masculine. But seeing him, looking that scared, makes me think, what? This is it, man. It's time to leave this place. That's when I decided to sell the business, man. I just let go. And even after, before I even move, leave the country, the first people I offered to buy the business was South African, the black South Africans. They were not interested. None of them were interested. They wanted it for free. I remember a friend of mine saying, "No, can I just have this? I said, no. No. I refuse to give them. I have to sell it to those who are willing to buy the business and take care of the business." And I never looked back since I left the country. It's unbelievable that the Western country accept us and feel more at home than we do in South Africa. That's crazy. How come South Africa reject their own black people, but yet America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia will feel more at home? That's sick. We've been given an opportunity to work, given an opportunity to really go. I've never feel like an outsider. I'm sure racism, can happen. It's everywhere. It's in South Africa too. Okay? But even in South Africa, I never had any issue with the Afrikaners. the white South Africans. They supported my business. They work for me. They get salary from my business. They also open up a door for me to supply them. Also, they had boutiques where we supply them. Another South African person also gave me an opportunity to supply Switzerland, where we make dresses, one of the pieces, and then supply Switzerland, Winter Tour, and Zurich. That was a huge opportunity. So it's hard to understand how the South African black mindset work. And the very same South African black people also help me. The very same, South Africans also, the black people that we also see them bad also, yes, go around and hurting other people. So South Africa need to really work. The rich ones somehow are very, very rich. And the poor one also can be really, really poor. And that is where the difference comes. Like the gap gets so much that it's almost impossible for them to see any way out but doing the violence. So so now I urge the government, Cyril Ramaphosa, please get out of your comfort. The guy become way too comfort. Even his speech is like the guy is like becoming a Biden now, falling asleep. No, I don't want to go into politics, but then this is just completely out, and I hope that South Africa can somehow manage to pull themselves together and fix this issue. It's going on for way too long. This wasn't the first, xenophobic. This wasn't the first one at all. This has been going on for some time now. It's been going on for way, way, way back. This is not new. I don't know why some people are seeing this as something new. It's not new. South Africa never liked us. South Africans never like us. I know, right from day one. Yes, maybe the ladies like us, unless they're pretending. But the guys, I never had South African friend. Since my whole time in South Africa, I never had a South African black South African friend. Yes, I had acquaintance. Yes, call me, that maybe want to hang out with me once in a while, but that's it. We never really, I never really had that kind of friendship with South Africa that's like really close, some meaningful connection that I can say, hey, even now that I'm no longer living in South Africa, I can pick up a phone and call and to catch up with South Africa and say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on and none of them also can do that to me. Most of the people and the connection and the friendship I built throughout my time in South Africa were never South Africans.
If I was Donald Trump for a day, South Africa, all of you, because what do you mean Africans are foreigners in a land that you all die and live? Idiots. If I was Trump for a day, Nigeria, if I catch one kidnapper, I'm killing your whole village, your family, your whole village, in case kidnapping is a trait in your family bloodline. Everybody, I will blood clot dead. You understand? If I was Trump for a day, Gambians, give me your passport, give me your voter's card, but it looks like you lot can't vote still. Come deep time ya me believe. Huh? La. Yeah. If I was Trump for a day, if you cheat, you have 24 hours to do whatever you want to your cheating partner. If your girl cheat on you can do whatever. If your man cheat on you can do whatever. You understand? Good. If I was Trump for a day, me I go be a trillionaire. Alright?